Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Off-Farm Income Podcast. Thank you very much for joining us here on our YouTube channel for episode number 803. Well, today we're going to learn about the baking industry, and we're going to be learning about working with your parents when they make you start work at midnight. Cleone McPherson's coming on to talk to us about working in her parents' bakery in Meeker, Colorado, and we're going to get that started for you right now. Joining me today is Cleone McPherson, and she is coming to us from Meeker High School in Meeker, Colorado, where she serves on her chapter's executive committee, and she's going to be talking to us all about her supervised agricultural experience. Cleone, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Hey, you bet. It is my pleasure to speak with you. Well, what part of the state is Meeker in? I'm so close to Colorado and Idaho, but I know so little about the geography of your state. What part of the state is Meeker in?
It's in the northwest corner.
Okay. All
kind
right.
of in the mountains. Really pretty town.
Yeah, very cool. Okay. So close to Utah and Wyoming.
Yep.
Okay.
About 2 hours away from those places.
2 hours away. Okay, very cool. Well, now when you're not at school, when you're at home, are you on a farm or a ranch, or do you live in a town, or something kind of in the middle of those two things?
I live in town, but I spend most of my time kind of working on my SAE, or technically my job.
Okay.
Which is we work in my family's bakery, so
okay.
We spend most of our time there.
Okay, very cool. Now, how long have you been part of the FFA?
3 years.
Okay. So.
Yep, I joined my freshman year.
Okay, and what brought you into the organization? Why did you want to join?
Well, it was kind of my dad. When he was younger, he also lived in Meeker, and he went through the program, and he really enjoyed it, and he ended up talking me into it one day, and I gave it a try.
Okay.
And it ended up being one of my favorite things.
Great.
So I just stuck with it.
Oh, great. I was going to say, you gave it a try, but here you are 3 years later, and you're still doing it, so you must have enjoyed it.
Yeah, I'm very glad I joined it that year. So.
Very good. Well, obviously, you got very involved. You're now on the executive committee for your chapter. How does that work? Do you have chapter titles like president and vice president and things like that, or is everybody who is in that role serve on the executive committee?
No, so we do. We have a whole officer team. There's 9 officers this year. There's the regular president, secretary, reporter, historian, and all that.
Okay.
We had to interview for our positions, and the previous officers of last year were the ones that got to choose where we all went.
Okay.
So I ended up on the executive committee.
And what are your duties there?
Well, I just work. I'm a lot of the planner. I do a lot of the planning and setup for our events. And I also fill in for the other officers when they're either not there or just need help with their duties.
Okay, very good. Well, so over this past 3 years in the FFA, have you been doing like CDE competitions and things like that?
No, I have not. This is actually my first year doing a CDE.
Okay.
I didn't get the chance in my last 2 years, but.
Oh, wow. So is that coming up for you shortly?
CDEs, it's about 2 months away. I think ours is in May.
Okay. And so what will you be doing? Do you know which ones you're doing yet?
Yep. Just yesterday, I ended up signing up for employment skills.
Oh, employment skills.
So I'll go and do. Yep. I'll create a resume and cover letter, and then go do an interview for it.
Oh, very cool, man.
Pretty excited about that.
Well, good for you. That's a great skill to learn, by the way, especially the interview part. If you can get good at interviewing for jobs and not be nervous and come across really naturally and relaxed and confident, boy, that is a great feather in your cap.
Yeah, I'm very excited for it.
What excites you about it?
Just being able to learn something that's going to actually help me in my future. Yeah. Like, I've never really been big in school, and FFA has just given me a lot of those opportunities.
Awesome.
And especially this one.
That's great.
Being able to learn something that'll help me expand my future a little bit easier in life. So
No, I agree.
that's really cool.
I think it absolutely will. That's fantastic. Good for you, Cleone. That's fantastic. Well, that's great. Well, I imagine that you've probably got some pretty great, well, at least one great FFA advisor, maybe more than one at your school. Would you mind letting us know who those folks are?
Yep. So our main advisor, her name's Danae Dinwiddie, and she's great. She's one of my favorite teachers. She's also one of the reasons I really stayed with the program, because she makes class fun and all of our trips and all that fun. And she ended up going on maternity leave last week. So right now we have a substitute, which is not necessarily, I guess, an advisor, but she's doing a really good job.
Yeah, great. And who is that?
Her name is Brooke Mantle.
Okay. Well, great. Well,
and we're also getting help from a previous ag teacher from our school, which is Trina Kennedy. She's really fun, too. So.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for acknowledging those folks, Cleone. I really appreciate that. And everybody, of course, I want to acknowledge a couple of great sponsors we have of our show here. And we'll start out talking about Powder River livestock handling equipment, and just the finest in cattle handling equipment that you are going to find. And they're actually manufactured just not very far away from where Cleone lives, down in Provo, Utah. And I have been to that factory. I have seen the grade and the gauge of the metal they use. I've seen the way they weld, the way they powder coat, and really got to tour the whole facility, and I'm just so impressed. And I have, of course, known about Powder River my whole life. And now we've got Powder River products, panels, squeeze chute right here on our own farm in Idaho. And we hope you'll be putting Powder River on your farm, your ranch, wherever you are at as well. Make sure you're letting your local farm and ranch retailer know that you want the finest traditional livestock handling equipment for over 80 years now. Powder River, that Powder River green in their yard. So you've got the opportunity to buy that equipment. And you can check out what they've got to offer you at powderriver.com. And then, of course, Lacrosse Boots, everybody. I just could not be more thrilled to have Lacrosse Boots, Lacrosse Footwear as a sponsor, and especially when I get to do my FFA episodes. Lacrosse Footwear is proud to support the FFA by annually sponsoring 15 scholarships along with 100 jackets as part of the Give the Gift of Blue program, and I know that just makes me smile to have them as a sponsor on the show. We use that Alpha Range boot on our farm every single day of the year, whether it's summer and we're irrigating or winter and we're feeding, and really, really love those boots. Please check them out over at lacrossefootwear.com. All right, well, Cleone, let's talk about your supervised agricultural experience. What have you been doing?
So my main SAE is actually working in my parents' bakery. I just kind of work alongside my parents and whatever they do, whether it's baking in the back, running the counter, or even office work sometimes.
Okay.
But recently I received a grant at Stock Show this year to kind of expand onto it.
Okay.
We're going to be purchasing laying kins, and then eventually we'll raise them and hopefully be able to get them registered as food safe for the restaurant business, certified. Then we'll start kind of using some of our own eggs, which will hopefully kind of reduce the amount of eggs we have to buy at the bakery. So we go through quite a few eggs just every week. I think when we did the math, not counting any of the restaurant side, it was 12 dozen just for the bakery.
No kidding.
So
that is really cool.
Hopefully we can reduce that number a little bit.
So you're going to be able to raise some of your own ingredients for what you need to put into the bakery there.
Yep. That's my goal.
That is awesome. How did you come up with that idea?
Not really sure. I think before we even ever really got a bakery, my family has always really talked about getting chickens, and we kind of put the plan off just because never really had the time, I guess. Then we got into the bakery business, and we've just kind of been seeing how many eggs and products in general we've been buying, but we go through a lot of eggs, and kind of came back that we wanted chickens in the first place, and we figured that they can help us at this point. So I decided to get it started.
Very cool. Now, how did you choose which breed of chicken you would have?
I'm still kind of deciding that.
Okay.
I haven't got super far into that because I've been working a lot, but we're kind of leaning towards something that can do good in the cold.
Okay.
That's our main goal right now.
Okay. And so how did you wind up with this grant? Where did the grant come from? Who sponsored it?
So it's through the Colorado FFA Association.
Okay.
Or organization. My sponsor is the Silverton family.
Very cool. And is it a $1,000 SAE grant? Is it that kind that I'm kind of familiar with?
Mine's not 1,000. Mine was 540.
540. Okay.
For mine.
Very cool. Well, that'll get you off to a great start, man. That is great. So, congratulations to you, by the way, on being chosen for that, but also on taking the initiative to apply for that. How did you find out about the grant?
I found out about it from members from my chapter that got it last year.
Okay.
Actually, Jilly Bumgardner is her name, and she did something kind of related to chickens too. Which kind of helped give me that idea to start mine, and she helped me out a lot, kind of putting it in and figuring all that out, and so I really appreciate that from her.
Oh, that's awesome. So you kind of had a mentor there in your chapter who had done this ahead of you, I guess.
It was really cool how she did that, and
yeah, I agree.
I actually went to Stockville last year just as a visitor and kind of watched her go through that process, and it was really inspiring.
That is great. Well, now, how long have your parents had the bakery?
We are going into our 3rd year this year.
Okay.
This March.
So this has been something that you have seen develop because obviously you were 13 when they started this then.
Yep.
All right. So what's the backstory there? What were they doing before they had the bakery?
So originally we lived in Utah, and my dad was a baker down there for quite a while, around 13 years. We moved here, and he got a job in a restaurant, and he just never really liked it. And his current wife, right now, my stepmom, contacted him one day telling him that she wanted to open a cake shop, and my dad was like, I want to open a donut shop. So
okay.
She moved down here with him, and they ended up opening the bakery together.
Awesome. Man, I think I would get along really well with your parents. Cakes and donuts, they're my type of people.
Oh, yeah. They're great.
Yeah. Do you know who Homer Simpson is?
Yep,
yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, that could be me. I think if I allowed myself to do that, I would just eat cakes and donuts, and I could turn into Homer. I've already got the hair for that, so I'm not far off. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's great. So now in the bakery, is it just sweets? Is it just cakes and donuts, or have they expanded to other things like breads and croissants or bagels or things like that?
Yep. So we have all of those. It's both kind of a bakery, and we started doing kind of lunches and dinners as well.
Okay.
And that's kind of new this year, especially the dinner part. But yeah, we have all sorts of pastries and cookies and breads, cakes, pies.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's
a little
great.
bit of everything.
And so, what are your responsibilities there?
So currently on the weekdays, I am the dinner cook.
Okay.
On the weekends is when I come in and I work in the mornings, baking stuff.
Okay.
Just kind of helping out with their daily tasks.
So what's your specialty? If I were to come to Meeker and come to your bakery and I said, all right, Cleone, you're going to make me dinner, what's your best dish that you make?
I'm probably best at making our burgers.
All right, I like a good
I've
burger.
had a lot of confidence on those. So.
Okay. No, that's great. Well, now on the weekends when you're getting up in the morning and baking, I mean, bakers they've got a reputation. They're up at 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning. Are you getting up that early to go start baking?
Yep. Usually on the weekends, and a lot more in the summer. I do that during the week too. But we've been starting around midnight so we can get out of here before the lunch starts.
Oh, okay.
So we're not in everybody's way.
Oh, you mean in terms of getting everything ready and doing all the baking work?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so what do you like better, cooking or baking?
Probably cooking.
Cooking, okay.
I think it's easier to get up in the afternoon than it is in the morning.
I was just about to ask you if you're a morning person, if you like getting up that early, but I think we've got our answer.
Yeah, not particularly. I can do it, but not my favorite thing.
Gotcha. And what is the name of this bakery? I mean, for all of our listeners who are going to be driving through Meeker, they got to know.
It's called White River Bakery.
Awesome. White River Bakery. And are you the only one in town, or do you have competition?
We're the only bakery in town.
No kidding.
So.
And what about like grocery stores? Do they do some baking as well, or do you supply them with anything?
No, we don't really supply anybody. There is the grocery store, and there's a few places in town that have a few baked goods brought in, but nobody like specializes in bakery, baked goods and all that.
Very cool. Well, how have you been able to work this into FFA? How do you kind of make the two things connect?
The way that we've kind of thought about that, because I've had this discussion with both my parents and my ag teacher, is that pretty much all of our ingredients and stuff come from agriculture, and we really kind of understand that if it wasn't for like farmers and ranchers now, that we wouldn't have any of our goods.
Right.
We wouldn't have flour or sugar or anything like that to make our products.
Yeah, 100%. 100% of your ingredients come from ag, right?
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, there's the flour, the sugar, all of that is grown in the general vicinity of where you're at. Certainly there's sugar and sugar beets right over here in Idaho we're growing, and there's plenty of wheat both to your east and to your west. I don't know about right there in your valley where you're at, but all those agricultural products can be found just not too far from you.
Yep, definitely.
That's cool.
We get them from all over the country.
Yeah.
From one bakery manufacturer, so it's pretty cool.
Well, what's your favorite thing to eat at the bakery? What's the thing that you like best that you bake?
That's hard. Around it so much, nothing's good. I like almonds right now, so.
I'm sorry, I cut you off. You like almond what?
Pretty much anything almond right now.
Anything almond, okay. Yeah, it's funny.
To pick one thing.
It's funny to hear you say there's nothing good. I bet you there's a lot that's good. You've just eaten so much of it. You're like, I don't want any more.
Oh, yeah. Everything's good, and it all still looks good. It's just personal preference at this point.
I understand. Well, that's really cool. I always thought that if I were to start like a brick and mortar business, being a baker would be cool, but I'm afraid of getting up so early. Starting my day at midnight scares me a little bit, Cleone, to be honest with you.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It's definitely a different lifestyle, and
yeah, absolutely.
Can't like stay up till midnight anymore. And
no.
It's a lot of adjusting.
A lot of adjusting, for sure. Well, so before we finish up, I want to ask your advice for other students. If they're involved in a family business, what advice do you have for other students who might go to work working with their parents every day? How do you separate mom and dad and boss?
To just get along with them and do what they say, do your best. Just mostly get along with them. I think I struggled with that for a little bit, and I just realized once you start listening to them and doing things like they say and trying to help them, everything goes a lot smoother, and it's a lot better environment to work in.
Absolutely. Very good. Well, Cleone, thank you so much for coming on today, and maybe one of these days I'll make it to Meeker and try some donuts and cake. Thank you so much for coming on.
Definitely. Thank you.
Well, thank you for being here, everybody. Really appreciate you joining us, and thank you to Cleone McPherson for coming on and sharing that great information with us. As always, enjoy your journey to the ultimate lifestyle business, agriculture.